Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. As we've been doing for quite some time, we're going to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance and the United States National Anthem. I would ask now that you would all rise. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Oh, yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it.
America's finest, the United States Army Barbershop Quartet, performing at the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. We appreciate these men and women who serve in our armed forces. We give thanks to them for all that they do. These men and women sacrifice a great deal to help protect each and every one of us. They help protect the entire world. As many of you know, this world is in a boatload of trouble. It has a lot of things going on all around the world that could mean disaster at any moment, literally. We want to thank our armed forces for helping protect us, for doing what they can to help protect the world. Joined by our allied armed forces, wherever they might be. God bless them. Because, folks, these people, our allies around the world, help protect all of us. Just in the past 3 days, Iran-backed forces that are called Houthis from Yemen have attacked our armed forces. They have attacked the two carriers of the United States and the one carrier, the HMS Elizabeth, out in the Gulf. They've attacked us. and so far we've been able to repel the attacks. Rebels have also attacked our armed forces in Iraq, sending 5 of our soldiers to the hospital, one of them with critical injuries. We want to ask the Lord to bless them as well, to help them heal and come back to their families after their tours of duty end. God bless all our armed forces around the world. Thank you for your service, and again we pray that you'll be able to return home to your families when your tours of duty end. And thanks so much for everything you do for us. Folks, we have a lot to report to you tonight. I want to start off talking about what has been going on over in Iceland. That is the big report for tonight, Iceland. Over here on the left side of your slide here, over on the bottom left of it is Grindavik. You see the earthquakes that have happened here from Grindavik going to the northwest. This is part of the fault zone. There's several different fault zones in this area along the Reykjanes Peninsula here. What I'm going to show you is increased activity. All kinds of increased activity. Every one of the earthquakes that have hit the Reykjanes Peninsula around Grindavik or anywhere else have been minor earthquakes. Nothing more than a 3.0. That's all. With that, I want to show you lava that's visible west of Grindavik. Lava that is again visible. Now, we're not sure whether these are new fountains or they just became visible because the snow has stopped snowing. But new lava is visible. Something else that has not happened since the first part of last week, when lava was not just visible, but the ground was erupting. Now we have smoke coming from the lava field. Smoke coming from the lava field. Like this. You can see Grindavik in the background out to the east. Folks, the lava field has again erupted. Now, with that said, let's go over and take a look at what has happened over in the Mid-Atlantic Ocean. I want to show you what is going on because this has special depth to it in that it shows us exactly what's going on. Where did it go here? There it is. I'm going to show you the USGS map for all the good that it does. What is going on here? I want to make sure everybody is understanding what is happening. Now, I'm going over here to the North Mid-Atlantic, south of Iceland. USGS shows us one earthquake. This is a 5.1 earthquake. A 5.1 earthquake. But the problem with that is there were 2 of them. There were 2 5.1 earthquakes there. Let me show you really what happened. I thought I had it here. Well, I do have it. Actually, now there are 3. The first 2 is here. That was 1. You see the 2 earthquakes right together? 2 5.1 earthquakes. Now we have a third. This is also a 5.1, and they're claiming this is at the Reykjanes Peninsula, the Reykjanes Fault Zone. the Mid-Atlantic Fault Zone. Okay? Now, that is quite a distance, probably several thousand miles from Iceland itself. 3 large earthquakes south of Iceland itself. Now, I'm going to bring this closer to us all. I want to bring this closer to us so we'll truly understand what has happened here. Folks, we may have to evacuate Grindavik all over again. I'm going to show you the USGS map again. I thought it was going to be not having to worry about it, but I'm going to show you the USGS map again. The fault zone goes north and west of Grindavik. This is Grindavik. Okay? The fault zone runs north and west of Grindavik here. What are we having? What is going on there? The fault zone, or the fissure zone that erupted, is right here. It's right here. It spans a little over 3 miles, 3.43 kilometers. It has erupted again. We showed you the smoke plume from today's event. Now, the authorities over on Iceland are saying that this time the smoke is mostly sulfuric gas. That is directly from the magma. Directly from the magma. There's very little CO2 in the gas plume today. That's bad. That's very bad. This is highly viscous lava. Rhyolite, for the most part, and basaltic lava. This can be very bad for the residents. If the wind starts coming from the west, it's going to blow all the way into Grindavik. Now, the problem in Grindavik is this. The forces that have been able to protect Grindavik, all the police and first responders, have gotten tired. They have been on the scene in Grindavik since this whole fiasco started on November 7th. They've gotten very tired. After the authorities opened up Grindavik on Saturday, telling the people that they could go back to their homes and be there 24/7, there has been a bunch, and I'm going to say a bunch because it's not just a contingent. It's just a small group of people that are in charge of making the decision to evacuate Grindavik again. Like I said, the first responders, the police, the fire department that have been keeping people out of Grindavik are no longer on scene. They've gone back to their homes wherever they came from all over Iceland. Now we have another eruption. It's not fountaining yet, but that doesn't mean it won't. It's not spewing a ton of lava over the landscape, but it could. We're going to keep our eyes on this situation. People's lives hang in the balance here. We've been reporting on this whole incident since earthquakes started happening on November 7th. We will come back to this and revisit it as time allows, number one, and number two, as the situation develops, as we have always done. But again, more volcanic eruptions west of Grindavik, Iceland. And south of there, over here in the mid-Atlantic, we've had 3 5.1 earthquakes. Now they're showing another one here. Oh, glory be to them. There's 2 of them out of the 3. Okay? There's been 3 5.1 magnitude earthquakes here in the mid-Atlantic, at least 2,000 to 3,000 miles south of Iceland today. That's number 1. Let's go back down here to the South Pacific. This is the Southern East Pacific Rise. This is the other large earthquake that we've had here around the world. The largest today, a 5.7 magnitude quake. A 5.7 is on the upper lane of large earthquakes. 5.0 to 5.9 are considered to be large earthquakes. This is a 5.9. 5.5 to, this is a 5.7. 5.5 to 5.9 are considered to be large earthquakes. That's exactly what we are here, a very large earthquake. A very large earthquake down here in the South Pacific. Now, where did it come from? Some people today have been asking me where it came from. During the past week, there have been multiple moderate earthquakes here in the South Pacific, most of them coming out of Fiji. Most of them out of Fiji. 4.5s, 4.6s, and 4.8 moderate earthquakes. Those moderate earthquakes were very deep earthquakes. We reported on that as well. Those deep earthquakes cause larger, shallow earthquakes. Larger, shallow earthquakes. That's what we have here down in the South Pacific. Okay? Look at this. A 5.7. Very shallow earthquake. 10 kilometers deep. 10 kilometers deep. Look at this. Another 5.4 with it. 10 kilometers deep. Very shallow earthquake. This is what we said was going to happen as a result of those moderate earthquakes over here in Fiji last week. Now we've had those. Now, these are on the Southern Pacific Rise. What's going to happen over here? This seismic energy is going to follow this earthquake fault that's in the Pacific. It may follow it up here to the Eastern Islands right here. If it doesn't, it's going to go right smack dab into southern Chile and Argentina. I believe that's where the next stop is going to be. Then those large seismic energies are going to continue all the way up north through Chile, Argentina, into Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia. USGS is not showing any earthquakes at all in this region. They're full of crap. There are about 15 earthquakes here in South America. Most are in Chile. We have a couple in Peru. We have another over in Colombia today. Okay? They're not showing any. Why? That's a question we all need to keep asking. Why? There are also multiple earthquakes here in Central America. They're not showing those here. We go out here into the Pacific Ocean again, off the coast of Central America. This earthquake is a moderate earthquake. This is in the northern East Pacific Rise. The ones I just showed you were large earthquakes in the southern Pacific Rise. This is in the northern Pacific Rise. This is a moderate 4.4, 10 kilometers deep. 10 kilometers deep. We also have this earthquake closer to shore near Guatemala. This is a 4.6, 37.5 kilometers deep. Fairly shallow earthquakes here. Okay? They're not showing any in southern Mexico. there are 15 earthquakes here in southern Mexico. Most of those are small earthquakes, 3.0 to 3.9. We also have 6 4.0 to 4.6 earthquakes here, moderate earthquakes here in southern Mexico. What does that mean? Now we are looking, what it means is we're now looking for 5.0 large activity here in southern Mexico. Another large earthquake to hit here in southern Mexico. It's a matter of time now. Okay? It's like a ticking time bomb. When you get this many earthquakes in southern Mexico, it's a ticking time bomb before another large earthquake hits. 4.0, 4.9s can do moderate damage. We have many 4.0, 4.6s here in southern Mexico today. They can do damage, especially in this part of the world. Just saying. We have earthquakes going all the way up here to the resort areas of Mexico. Puerto Vallarta is right here. Zihuatanejo, Acapulco, Manzanillo. These are resort areas here in southern Mexico. 7 of the 15 earthquakes here are in this region, the Riviera of Mexico. Just saying. That energy is also going to continue to go into northern Mexico as well. Again, they're not showing anything in this region either. There are a couple earthquakes here in northern Mexico. Just saying. You don't see any shown there, do you? Not at all. Let's go down here. Okay? This earthquake is in Vanuatu today. This is a moderate 4.5 near Port Vila, Port Vila, Vila, Vanuatu. 119 kilometers north-northeast of Port Vila, Vanuatu. It's in the ocean. Nobody felt this earthquake. It's a moderate earthquake anyway. But it's 221 kilometers deep. Still, it's not that deep. It's a moderately deep earthquake. 221 kilometers deep. I don't believe this is going to do any real damage in the point that this is a fairly deep earthquake, but I don't believe it's going to substantiate much more than another 4.8, 4.9 earthquake as a result of this earthquake. A shallower, strong earthquake. Going over here, USGS is not showing any earthquakes over here in Australia. Why not? Let me show you something else here. This is yesterday's 2.4, Southern Australia. Let me show you today's. Look at this, guys. 2 earthquakes, yesterday and today, down here in southern Australia. This is a little bit south from yesterday's earthquake here. But again, the agency's not saying word one about it. Not word one. What's the problem here? Inquiring minds want to know. What's the problem? Look here, guys. I want to show you this. Look at all these earthquakes north of there. Okay? We also have a 5.0 in southeastern Indonesia. And at least 24 earthquakes in Indonesia. Fancy that. Fancy that. Now, why am I telling you this? Look up to the north. in the Philippines. There are 6 earthquakes off of Mindanao Island, Philippines. The same location where 4 weeks ago we had a major 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. It first came out as a 7.7. They downgraded it to a 7.5. At the time, I said it was at least an 8. It turned into a 9.0, 10.0 megathrust earthquake. A subduction zone earthquake over here in Mindanao, Philippines. You see 10 earthquakes? That is spread all down the southeastern side of Mindanao, Philippines. Today there are 5 earthquakes in the northeastern part of Mindanao, Philippines. Okay? All of them 4.5 and greater. That also tells another story. Why are they not reporting it? On one of the comments to my show last night, somebody said, why am I talking doom and gloom? I'm only reporting the information that is exact. I'm only reporting the information that all of you need to know about what's really going on. I'm not reporting doom and gloom. We need to get our acts together. We need to make sure that we are reporting what is happening. We may have another or several megathrust earthquakes hitting soon. And I'm going to explain that tonight. I'm telling you, it can happen. And it is going to happen. We cannot ignore what's really going on. The agency, the preeminent seismic agency of the world, is not telling us the truth. If someone doesn't tell us the truth when the big one happens and people are injured and killed, the people are going to demand answers. I'm at least trying to portray the real world here. I'm trying to give you all the information you need to make decisions to protect yourselves. If I don't tell you, nobody else is going to. The agency's not going to. They could care less whether somebody lives or dies. We're at least giving you the information you need to survive, to make decisions to stay, leave, or at least prepare to survive in place. Shelter in place. That's why we're talking to you today. There are about 20 earthquakes, 2024 earthquakes over in Indonesia. You see that big ball there? It says 10 plus there. Look at the other earthquakes here in Indonesia. There's at least 20 plus earthquakes in Indonesia today. Where that ball is, where it says 10 plus, there's 2 5.0 earthquakes right there, east of Java, Indonesia. But what's really going on? What's really happening? I'm not spreading doom and gloom, I'm telling the truth. Hurricane Heather says, doom and gloom, question mark, question mark. Are you truly prepared for what's happening? What's coming? Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. That's where we're at. If you don't prepare for what's going on, if you're seeing what's happening, we're reporting on it, and you do nothing, you're preparing for your own demise. We want to hopefully have people survive what's going on. Earthquakes are survivable if you know what's going on. That's why we're talking to everybody now. Many people keep asking why they're not being notified of us coming on the air. YouTube doesn't want any of us to know when I'm coming on the air, including me. They've actually unsubscribed me several times during the past year. Naturally, I resubscribe myself to my own program. Then I also do something else. When you subscribe, when you hit that subscribe button, right next to it is another button that's a very tiny button. You may or may not see it. It's a little bell icon. Make sure you click on the bell icon. That bell icon will reveal a drop-down menu of 3 items. Make sure you click on the word ALL. That should get you notified when we come on the air. Not necessarily though. Be advised, we will come on the air between 6 and 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. We always do. Yes, occasionally we do make it late because of unforeseen problems that crop up. But we do come on the air as we have promised. But you have to be aware of what's going on in order to make decisions. We're only giving you this information so you can be aware of it. Okay? We also ask you to make sure, if you enjoy our programming, to click another button, the thumbs up button, the like button. Make sure you click on that so YouTube knows that people enjoy our program. When I look at the analytics on a daily basis, when it comes to this putting information in this program, I look at a lot of different factors. Number one, the number of likes our program actually got. They take likes off of our program. The number of thumbs up that we get figures into an analytical factor that YouTube uses to assess whether they're going to let anybody else see our program. That's one. Number two, the number of people that view our program. Yesterday's program said we had 17 people that saw our program live. That was a lie. We had over 417 people that saw our program live. I consider that to be pretty good considering we're in the Christmas holidays. Before Christmas hit us, we were upwards of 550 to 650 people every single night on our program. And still, YouTube was suppressing those numbers as well. The total numbers for any program during the week, anytime, is upwards from 800 to 1,000. And then YouTube takes them down to 757 to 847. That's very typically what you see. But that tells me also that they're suppressing the numbers, because the numbers were higher before. YouTube doesn't want anybody to see this program because we're telling the truth. Please, folks, continue to subscribe to this program. Continue to hit the thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. Right now it says 43 people like this program. I'm refreshing it again. Now it says 58. I appreciate each and every one of you who make an effort to, when you come into the program, to make sure that you look at our program description, look at the program, and also hit the like button. Okay? We really appreciate it. It means a great deal to us. Anyway, let's move on. We have a lot of things to talk about tonight. One of the things I want to bring up here as well, let me bring up the USGS map again here. Notice they're only showing 2 earthquakes in Indonesia here. 2 lousy earthquakes, and there's 20 plus earthquakes over Indonesia today. That tells you a story there too. It's unheard of. It's unheard of. They're not showing any earthquakes at all over here off the coast of Mindanao, Philippines. There are there are about 10 earthquakes here, and the EMSC is only showing 4 of them. One of the four hit over here on the coastline of Mindanao, Philippines. It was a 4.3. The other fours happened here offshore of Mindanao, Philippines. These are aftershocks of a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake that hit here just over 4.5 weeks ago. And they're not showing any here. They don't care whether anybody gets hurt in the Philippines or not. They really don't care, do they? Not at all. Literally not at all. We have one earthquake up here in Russia, Kerensky, Russia. This is a large 5.3 earthquake here. Again, 10 kilometers deep. Over here, Tajikistan, a moderate 4.2 earthquake here. This one is 102 kilometers deep. Further southwest, Herat, Afghanistan, a 4.3 earthquake. This one is 7.5 kilometers deep. Go figure. Earthquakes all over this area. All over Turkey here. Literally, all over Turkey, and they're not talking about it. Not talking about it at all. Turkey, Syria area here. We had a major 9.0, 10.0 earthquake hit here earlier this year. They're not showing any earthquakes here. There are eight aftershocks in the Turkey, Syria area here today. 2.3s, 3s, and 4s hitting this area today. Nearly a year after the major earthquake. The area is still shaking. Over here in north central Turkey, this is a 4.7, a moderate earthquake, 6.5 kilometers deep. I don't care what they say. I just don't. Up until 6 or 8 months ago, folks, we never had these earthquakes as shallow as we are having them today. Never. They were 100, 150, 200, 250, or 500 kilometers deep. That's what they were raising here. Now, all we see are very shallow quakes. Interesting. Very interesting. Over here, this is Croatia. Frequently we have earthquakes here. Many times they don't tell us about it. This is a 3.5 small earthquake here. 10 kilometers deep, 6.2 miles deep. They're not showing any other earthquakes over here in Italy. There are plenty of earthquakes here in Italy. Let's go down here to southern Italy here. I want to show you something. Remember down here in Sicily and Italy here, we have two eruptive volcanoes here. Mount Etna that's been erupting for some time. Kimberly Hopkins just gave us another $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Kimberly. We appreciate that. God bless you for that. Anyway, we have two eruptive volcanoes here. Mount Etna and Stromboli. Stromboli erupted again in a flurry, literally. The eruption here was almost catastrophic. It was a large eruption reaching up about 35,000 feet high. If people had been on the mountain, they would have been killed because lava poured down Stromboli volcano. Fortunately, nobody was on the mountain. But this area here has got an eruptive fountain going, and also ash cloud. Ash and toxic toxic gases reaching up here into 35,000 feet above sea level. Okay, that's huge. That's huge. That's huge by any standards. The agency's not reporting any other earthquakes here in Italy. There are. They're not reporting any other earthquakes here in Switzerland, Germany. There are. They're not reporting any earthquakes here in France. There are right here. There's a 3.5 earthquake here in the Riviera of France. Just saying. Just saying. There are some earthquakes down here in the area of the Strait of Gibraltar. Notice this area here. Okay, there's a fault zone here. Richard Lyles is here in the chat. Richard, thank you for being here. Richard just gave us a $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Richard. We really, really appreciate that. God bless you for that. That means a great deal to us. Folks, this is real. This is very, very real. Earthquakes here could be bad. Very, very bad. They could damage the Strait of Gibraltar, for example. We've had earthquakes over here in Spain. A lot of earthquakes here in Spain. They're not showing much of anything. There's a couple earthquakes we know of up here in the north of Spain. They're not showing us anything. There are earthquakes over here off the coast of Spain and Portugal in the Azore Islands. They're not showing any here at all. Nothing. Now, I want to go over here where the Azores Island meets up with the Mid-Atlantic Fault. Just east of the Mid-Atlantic Fault, we have islands here. These are volcanic islands. They're getting hit with earthquakes because the magma is coming up into volcanoes here. That's what is causing the earthquakes here in the Azore Islands. Some of these islands are getting hit with 3.2, 3.5. Other of the islands are getting hit with 4.5 magnitude quakes, moderate earthquakes. Not good. Some of these islands are also inhabited. The last time we had an earthquake here, I want to show you this. This island right here was inhabited. They had to evacuate this island because they thought that the volcano was going to erupt. So they removed everybody off of the island here. Okay? Just telling you. Just telling you what has happened and what will happen. Okay? Go back to the United States. They're not showing any earthquake at all in the Great Lakes area. Nothing at all. Let me show you something here, guys. Over here. Corunna, Ontario, Canada. This is over in the border region with Michigan. This was a 2.5 earthquake here. Folks, what do you think is happening? Do you have any idea? I'm going to tell you one thing. The new Madrid fault goes all the way up here to the Great Lakes. It's fueling what is going on up here. The New Madrid fault is fueling what you see here up at the border region of Michigan and Canada. A 2.51 minor earthquake here. Okay? And it was felt. It was felt. This was a big deal. Hurricane Heather just said that the craton is moving. It's not just a North American craton. Every tectonic plate around the world is moving. That is why we're having so many earthquakes everywhere. Literally. Literally, folks. I'm not kidding you at all. Now, I'm going to shut down the USGS map. What I want to show you now, we're going to stay here in the United States. I want to go over here to the New Madrid Fault. This earthquake here. Folks, this is a 3.6 magnitude earthquake. By all means thinkable, this is a 3.6 small earthquake. This is near the town, well, it's actually in the town of Etowah, Arkansas. Etowah, Arkansas. Right next to it is a town called Jonesboro. Most of you have seen Jonesboro, Arkansas. Folks, this is where that earthquake hit. A 3.6 earthquake. Now, they have avoided telling us what is going on. We've continued to report on this for a very long period of time. It's not going to stop. What we're going to talk about today is what happened on the New Madrid Fault. What has been and what we could look forward to happening here on the New Madrid Fault. Last night on the program, we told you that we were going to be talking about what was going on in the Pacific Northwest. That changed when we woke up and found this 3.6 on the New Madrid Fault. That's totally changed the decision. Because, folks, this is not the only earthquake that hit. It's not the only earthquake that hit. Folks, this is where that earthquake hit. Near Jonesboro, Arkansas. I've been in Jonesboro, Arkansas. When I was over here at Little Rock, we did a disaster drill in 2011. We did a disaster drill on the anniversary of the New Madrid earthquake hitting. What they thought at the time was a 7.1 major earthquake. Now the scientists are saying that that earthquake was at least an 8.0 to 9.0 magnitude earthquake here on the New Madrid Fault. Look where this earthquake hit. Right smack dab on the center of the New Madrid Fault. Little Rock is a pretty good distance to the west. What you're going to find out today is the seismic energy was felt over a very wide area of Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, and Louisiana. A huge area that this earthquake was felt. I believe this earthquake was probably more like a 4.1, 4.2. I'm going to show you seismograms to prove that. Okay? Let's start taking a look at what's going on. As I said, I was in Little Rock in 2011 conducting the anniversary of the earthquake hitting here. This is what this earthquake today looked like. Let me reduce the size of this seismogram so you can see it. This is what that earthquake looked like here in Little Rock, Arkansas today. Yes, it does look like a 3.0. But look over 50 seconds later at the time this earthquake finished. Okay? This earthquake hit at 11:47:48 a.m. It started hitting at 11:47 and 30 seconds because the minor earthquakes were leading up to that. Tremors and minor earthquakes are leading up to it. Then the bigger earthquake hit just after 11:48 this morning. Then the seismic energy calmed down for a few minutes, or just not a few minutes, a few seconds. Then at 11:49, the earthquake hit again. This time, you can see over here on 11:49 a.m., this earthquake was bigger than the original 3.2, 3.3 that they thought. This is probably closer to 4.1. This is from Little Rock, Arkansas. Let's go over to Catfish Pond, Arkansas. Look at this. This gives you a little better detail of what happened with this earthquake. Look at the bottom and look at the top of it. The bottom and the top of this earthquake were cut off. And it lasted almost a minute and a half. Almost a minute and a half. What happened before that? What happened before that? At 7:48 a.m. this morning. At 7:47 a.m. this morning, we had a bunch of tremors happening. And those tremors actually started right after 7:45. They got large. The tremors began getting larger and larger until right before 7:48 a.m. this morning. 2.0 earthquake hit. Minor earthquake. Then it got larger to a 2.5. The shaking didn't stop. Look out to the right of the primary wave. That is a secondary wave. That secondary wave lasted over 2 minutes. That tells me that this seismograph, the machine, was turned way down. Way down. You don't get a 2+ minute secondary wave if it's just a minor earthquake. That means this machine, the seismograph, was turned way down. Way, way down. This seismograph was turned down about 40 to 50%. To have this kind of secondary wave, this machine was turned down 40 to 50%, meaning the earthquake that hit at 7:48 a.m. this morning was probably a 3.5. So this earthquake at 11:48 a.m. this morning, where the top and the bottom have been cut off, they said was a 3.6. Folks, this earthquake was more like a 4.5, 5.0 earthquake. A 4.5, 5.0 earthquake. Otherwise, why would they have cut off the top and the bottom? I understand the bottom. Because, folks, the bottom would show on the next seismogram from this afternoon. But the top has been cut off. They don't want us to see what actually happened over here on the New Madrid Fault. This may have been a 5.0. Why am I being so standing on this? Why am I making such a big deal? The New Madrid Fault erupted December 1811, and it kept moving until February 2012. We're way past the 200-year anniversary. Even 2 years ago, we were only getting 1.5, 1.7, 2.0 magnitude earthquakes, 2.0 minor earthquakes, and tremors before now. 2 years later, we're getting full-blown earthquakes here. Large earthquakes here on the New Madrid Fault. Why do you think I'm making such a big deal on this? In 1811, there was hardly anyone living here. Mostly settlers. Settlers moving from New York and the East Coast, all up and down the coast, coming from Europe, settling in America along the New Madrid Fault. Now we're seeing it ramping up here. It's ramping up in a big way. Folks, we could see easily by what's going on now. We can see easily a 7.0 earthquake happening within the next couple of years. Maybe sooner. Maybe sooner. Today we had a large earthquake here. They're not talking about damages. I checked all over. I checked with television and radio stations. They're not talking about damage yet. I was told I would receive a phone call from the TV and radio stations if anybody reported any damage. I'm sure that there's some kind of damage here on the New Madrid Fault today. This is the center of the New Madrid Fault, near Jonesboro, Arkansas. When I was in Little Rock, I spoke to the emergency manager in Jonesboro. I spoke to every emergency manager up and down the fault. They all told me the same story about what happened in the 1800s and the things that they were not seeing yet. But we simulated a major earthquake here so that disaster officials and first responders would be able to get a feel for what would happen when this major earthquake hit again. All over, folks. Elizabeth saying, what was the New Madrid earthquake today? They said it was a 3.6. I'm showing you this seismogram with the top and the bottom cut off. This was at least a 5.0 earthquake. Look at the length of time that this earthquake hit. 1.5 minutes of shaking. And the top was cut off. So we can't see exactly how strong the quake was. But I can promise you this. This earthquake was stronger than what they're saying it was. I can promise you that. Look at the other earthquakes here. Okay? This is Catfish Pond. Not that far from Jonesboro, but this is right beside the fault line. Right beside the Mississippi River. This is Catfish Pond this afternoon. Look at this. It's not showing hardly any activity at all. The only activity it's showing is over here on this blue line. On the left side of this blue line, this would be 1:30 in the afternoon. Over here, this is just 4 minutes. 4 minutes before 1:45. Okay? This is 1:41 p.m. this afternoon. Here it shows a 2.0 earthquake. This may have been larger. This may have been larger than that. They're not showing the other earthquake here that hit this morning. They should have been, but they're not. They isolated it from this seismogram. Heaven forbid they be truthful with us. Okay? That was Catfish Pond. Let's look at Lake Charles, Missouri. Lake Charles, Missouri here. Look at this. Again, the top and the bottom have been cut off. This is Missouri. This earthquake was felt a long distance away from the epicenter. This shows just over a minute of shaking. Look at the secondary wave here. The secondary wave goes out 45 seconds, 1 minute and 45 seconds, 2 minutes and 45 seconds, and another 30 seconds after that. 3 minutes of secondary wave activity. 3 minutes of secondary wave activity. Folks, this was a 5.0 earthquake. This was a 5.0 earthquake that they're trying to pass off as a 3.6. Felt over a wide area. This was a large 5.0 earthquake today on the New Madrid Fault. This is just the beginning of what we're going to see. Let's take you over to Little Rock. This is where I was back in 2011 at the Arkansas Emergency, it's called ADEM, the Arkansas Department of Emergency Management, ADEM. Look at this. Over here in Little Rock, this is about 175 miles southwest of Jonesboro. Look what we're seeing here. Here, they're not showing even the slightest aptitude for a long duration earthquake. They're showing what could have been at least a 3.6. But look out to the right of this primary wave here. We go out to the right about a minute and 10 seconds. This itself would tell us this earthquake was twice as big as what they're showing. Okay? Twice as big as what they're showing. Look at the other seismic waves here. These other seismic waves are tremors. Tremors happening on the New Madrid Fault, Little Rock, Arkansas. When the New Madrid Fault does hit, what do you guys think? Is Little Rock going to feel the shaking of a 8.0, 9.0 magnitude earthquake here on the New Madrid? It most assuredly is. Lisa, I want you to stay in the topic of discussion. Lisa, I want you to stop talking about South America right now. Yes, we have seismic energy hitting South America. And France and Spain, we talked about that. We talked about Italy earlier. We talked about Indonesia. Please understand what I'm saying, Lisa. We want to stay on topic of what I'm talking about. I don't want anyone to misunderstand me what I'm saying. I want everybody to pay attention and understand what we're saying here. Please stay on topic. It's important. Cyberistic Gal is asking, what's South Louisiana going to feel like if a New Madrid earthquake goes off on a 7+? Louisiana is going to feel that energy as well. That energy is going to be felt out into the Gulf of Mexico. That energy of the 8.0 earthquake, and I'm just saying minimum, a minimum of an 8.0 earthquake down in Louisiana. Back in 1811, there were very few people living on the New Madrid Fault. Very few people even living in this area. Now this area is heavily populated up and down the entire Mississippi River. Memphis. Memphis is there. What do you think Memphis is going to be? Memphis is going to be tossed around like a children's ball, or like a block, bouncing all over the place. Memphis is probably going to be destroyed. Up and down the entire fault line, from down in the Ritter, down in the wonderful place down there in Louisiana where everybody has such fun. It's all going to be bounced around. It's not going to be good. Now you wanted me to talk about doom and gloom? I'm telling you like it is. I'm just telling you like it is. When I was there in 2011, the day we started on a Monday, the day we started simulating this earthquake was on a Monday. We had 3 small earthquakes on the New Madrid Fault. A 3.2, a 3.5, and a 3.7 all the way up into Oklahoma. Yes, we had game players, we had experts over in Oklahoma. Why? Because Oklahoma is also going to feel it. That's why we decided to put game players in Oklahoma that day, or that week. And we were right. We had 3 small earthquakes that day. That was in 2011. Now we are in December 2023. Almost 13 years later. Now we're actually seeing good-sized earthquakes hitting here. And that's not all, folks. There's more. There's more. Let's look over in Manila, Arkansas. Like I said, this earthquake is felt in a wide region. Here in Manila, Arkansas, you can see how this seismic device recorded this quake. At 11:47 when the earthquake hit, you can see at least a 3.0, 3.5 earthquake here. It immediately, on this seismogram, showed the seismic energy dropped to minimal minor tremors. Then it popped up to minor earthquakes again. Then the secondary wave lasted a minute and a half. Folks, you don't get a minute and a half, 2-minute secondary wave unless that earthquake was a lot stronger. Again, the seismograph was turned down, even here in Manila, Arkansas. That's not all, folks. There's more. Let's go over to Mark Tree, Arkansas. We always see bigger earthquakes here at Mark Tree. We are again today. Look at the earthquakes here. Down here, when this earthquake hit, it also showed up at Mark Tree, Arkansas. Okay? Look at it here. It shows up here almost 50 seconds after the primary wave hit. It shows seismic waves, tremors hitting there before that. They've erased some of the seismic signals here. It should not have been showing tremors. They've erased some of the data here at Mark Tree, Arkansas. Let's pull this seismogram down here so you can see what happened here. The top line here is midnight this morning, late last night. Then on and on you see some tremors building up here. The first tremors you see are just before 1:15 or yeah, 1:15 this morning. Just prior to that over here on the right. Then at 1:15 you see about 3 minutes worth of tremor activity. Then we have a secondary wave that reaches out probably 3 or 4 minutes. Just very microquake type of activity. Then at 1:15 it starts ramping up again. Very minimal 1.0 tremors activity. That's all. Then it ramps up to tremors, full-blown tremors. 1.3, 1.5 tremors. And those tremors last another 5 minutes. Then again, the secondary wave hits and continues to shake. Then we remain at very minimal microquake activity and minor tremors, very minor, until about 2:30 this morning. The tremors just barely start, 1.0 tremors. Now for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes. Very minor 1.0 tremors. Then all of a sudden, 6 minutes after that, all of a sudden it starts wrapping up. 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 a minute later. Then it ramps up within 40 seconds to be 2.0 activity. This is long before the earthquake over near Jonesboro. Look here. These are more than just minor earthquakes. 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes, ramping up to 3.0. Then it calms down. Again, we have a secondary wave that lasts 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes long. So these were probably 3.0 activity right here. Then we have very minimal minor tremors and micro tremor activity. Then, after 6 o'clock this morning, the tremors begin again. Microquake going into 1.0 tremors, building up to 1.3 tremors after 6:08, 6:09 a.m. this morning. 2.0s. All of a sudden we're having 2.8, 2.9, 3.0 activity. The top and the bottom of this seismic event was cut off for almost a full minute. You can see the top and the bottom cut off here. It's the same size. Folks, this was probably 3.5 activity here. Marked Tree, Arkansas. Small earthquake activity. This sequence lasted nearly 3 minutes. Then we have a secondary wave to contend with. The secondary wave lasted another minute and a half. Again, 3.5 activity right here. It doesn't stop there, guys. It doesn't stop here at all. Then, after 9:15, we have another bunch of tremors that turn into minor earthquakes, 2.0 activity. And then they die into tremor activity again. Then, just before 10:15, at about 10:12 this morning, we had some tremors building up and building up. 2.0 earthquakes, and quickly ramps up to at least a 3.5 earthquake. The bottom and the top of this has been cut off. It continues on the 10:15 red line. This earthquake lasted a full 2.5 minutes. The bottom and the top have been cut off here. 10:15 this morning. 10:59, I'm sorry, not 10:59, 10:14 a.m. this morning, going over here to the 10:15 line, 10:14 to 10:15, and into 10:16. 2 minutes long. Top and the bottom been cut off. This may well have been a 4.0 earthquake here at Mark Tree, Arkansas. A moderate earthquake here at Mark Tree, Arkansas. Then at 11:20 a.m. this morning, what do we have? We have tremor activity building up to minor earthquake activity. 2.8. 2.8 minor earthquakes. This sequence lasted a minute and a half. Then we come down here to 11:47, 11:48 this morning, where this same seismograph is recording the earthquake at Jonesboro. This one, it doesn't even show everything that happened at Jonesboro. Again, the data has been removed. The data has been removed. You can see it. I show you the Jonesboro activity from the seismograph there, and I show you this. You would not even recognize it, guys. You would not even recognize it. Think about this for just a minute. I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I'm back. I'm sorry, I just had to take a Yes, Hurricane Heather, yes, exactly. And yes, everything's fine. But look here at Mark Tree, Arkansas. Look at the information I'm showing you. This is normally what happens here at Mark Tree. But they are not showing you the information that actually happened. They're only wanting to show you what they want you to see. Let's go over into the center, north center of Arkansas. This is the Ozark Folk Center in Arkansas. Why am I showing you this? Because this tells a story. This tells a story. We have some earthquake activity at 10:30 and again at 10:35. Okay? This is 2.5 to 3.0 activity at 10:30 and 10:35. Then what happens at 11:47 into 11:49? Again, 2 minutes of at least 4.5 to 5.0 magnitude earthquake activity. They're calling this a 3.6, but why did they cut off the bottom and the top of this seismic event? When they do that, they're hiding information. This was much larger than a 3.6. I'm calling this a 5.0 earthquake. Even over in northern Arkansas, they're cutting off the information. But here, 75 to 100 miles north and west of Jonesboro, you're still seeing this activity. And it's larger than what they're saying. Larger. Tyronza, Arkansas, far to the south. Look here. They're not even reporting everything that happened here either. Why not? They have actually erased most of the data here. It's not that the seismograph didn't pick it up. We see the seismograph did pick it up, but they have erased the data. They made it look like it wasn't as much as it was. This earthquake today at 11:47 a.m. in Arkansas was much larger than what they're saying it is. And here, okay, again here, you have to look at everything here. Okay, Tyronza, Arkansas. Look what we have happening here. 6 a.m. We have some tremors. 30 seconds into 6 a.m., all of a sudden we have at least a 3.0 earthquake. At least a 3.0 earthquake. Then the seismic energy goes down to tremors again, and then about a minute later, it ramps right back up to 3.0 again. This is Tyronza, Arkansas. Meantime, we have a bunch of tremors, and we also have at least two other 2.2, 2.3 earthquakes. 3 of them, in fact. 3 of them here. Okay? It's not all, guys. It's not all. This was down on the Mississippi River, along the fault zone of the New Madrid Fault. What happened over into Illinois? Let's take a look at Illinois today. Look at this. Fairfield, Illinois. Look closely at this seismogram, if you will. Look closely at it. Look at the bottom here. Prior to that, we have a bunch of tremors. We also have several 2.0 plus earthquakes. Fairfield, Illinois. This is the northern part of the New Madrid Fault here in Illinois. Down here at the bottom, at 11:47, 11:48 a.m., what do we see? earthquake near Jonesboro, Arkansas was felt all the way up here. This is proof. Felt over a wide area. Folks, this was at least a 5.0 earthquake down near Jonesboro, Arkansas today. It was felt all the way up here into Illinois. Richard Smith says ultraviolet radiation making the sky look purple. Oh yeah, over there in Nova Scotia, you're seeing aurora borealis as a result of a huge, well, I can't say huge, a very good sized plasma CME. It was a G scale class CME that hit 2 days ago off the sun. It was over near the northern terminator, meaning the northern edge of the sun. It launched. If you go over to Wages World after this program, look at Wages World last program. He put it out last night. He shows exactly what happened near the northern terminator of the sun. Huge plasma radiation display. What happened? There was a comet that launched itself into the sun. Mark Wages also shows what happened as that comet was nearing the surface of the sun. The sun reacted to that comet coming into the atmosphere of the sun. Then we had a plasma radiation play out. Plasma pulses all over the northern terminator of the sun. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Okay? Richard Smith is saying, oh wow. Yeah. After we get off the air, go over to Wages World. And I have a link to his program in our program description today. So after we get off the air, go into our program description, copy and paste that link into your browser, and you're going to be able to watch about a 20-minute program where Mark Wages explains what happened 2 days ago on the sun. And then as a result, we're seeing aurora borealis. It was a G1 class geomagnetic storm that's happening right now. Does anybody have any questions about what we've shown you so far? I had a lot more information to show you. Okay? But I'm telling you what's going on. I showed you a good example of almost everything we had to show you today. Over here in Cape Girardeau. Cape Girardeau also felt this earthquake. A 5.0 earthquake. And yes, I'm going to call it what I'm going to call it. A 5.0 earthquake. Henderson Mound, Missouri, felt this earthquake. Henderson Mound, Missouri. You can see it there. Ozark Folk Center that I told you about, north central Arkansas, felt this quake. Kewanee, Missouri, look at this. Kewanee, Missouri also felt that quake, and they're hiding it here. Before that happened, at 1 o'clock this morning, we had a huge tremor storm here. The tremor storm got up to 1.7 tremors, but look how long it lasted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes. 7 minutes worth of tremors here in Kewanee, Missouri. 1 a.m. this morning until 1:07 a.m. this morning. Huge tremor activity here. Huge tremor activity here. Let's look over here at Poplar Bluff, Missouri. Poplar Bluff, Missouri recorded this earthquake as well. Again, they cut off the bottom and the top of this seismic signal here. Poplar Bluff, Missouri. I want to show you a couple more here. Let's go over to Barker Cemetery. Look what Barker Cemetery is showing. We have a bunch of tremors. We have a couple 1.6, 1.7 tremors here, 3 of them. But again, the seismogram at Barker Cemetery is showing us at least a 4+ magnitude earthquake. Here, they're showing it almost completely disappear and start up again. Again, that's not what happened. All the other seismograms show us that the quake didn't stop, it continued. Meaning they've doctored the seismograms again here at Barker Cemetery. By the way, that's the least amount of seismic activity we've seen at Barker Cemetery in about 2 or 3 years. Usually Barker Cemetery we have about 40 or 50 tremors every day. Now hardly anything. Portisville, Missouri, look at this. We have some tremor activity just before 1:30 this morning. About 5 minutes worth of tremor activity. Then the tremors build up to about 1.5 tremors, and that lasts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes. 7 minutes more of tremor activity. It lasted almost 4 minutes before that. 11 minutes of tremor activity here at Portisville, Missouri. Then all we have is just microquake activity until the seismograph here at Portisville, Missouri picks up the earthquake over near Jonesboro, Arkansas. Again, they cut off the bottom of the top because they do not want to show us exactly how strong this earthquake was. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Before we leave, I have 3, 4 more seismograms to show you. What happened at Wardell, Missouri today? You guys tell me what happened at Wardell, Wardell, Missouri. Look what happened. Tremors and 2.0, 2.5 magnitude earthquake happening at 1:40 this morning. Continuing on at 1:45 this morning. Continuing on at 2 a.m. this morning. Prior to that, all we had was tremor activity. The tremor activity continued for several more hours, and it increased after that. Look what happens after 7 a.m. this morning, 6 a.m. this morning. Look what happens here. And at Wardell this morning at 11:47 a.m. this morning. Look what we see here. We see a continuation of what we showed you at Jonesboro. A 5.0 earthquake. Part of it we can't see because of the other seismic activity prior to that. But you can see exactly the same kind of activity here. This is what we're talking about. Sweet Polly Purebred just gave us another $5 super chat. Thank you, Polly. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much. God bless you for that. We appreciate all of you who have contributed to our super chats tonight. We appreciate all of you who have contributed here to our chat today. I appreciate you all sharing what is going on. Drew Black says, I knew it was not my imagination. No, it was not. That is a lot of shaking going on. This is a ton of activity, guys. This is more than I ever expected to be. I'm just being honest with you. This is more than I ever expected it to be. But That's not all, folks. There's more. Let me show you some more. Lauderdale, Missouri this afternoon. Look at this. It continued. It continued. The seismic waves continued. How would you like living here today? This would just be more vibration that you could possibly handle that did not stop all day long. All day long. I pulled this seismogram 1, 2, 3, 4, just after 4, I want to say maybe 4:10 this afternoon. Look at that. That is incredible activity. Even after 4 o'clock, at 4:01 going into 4:02. 2.5s going into 3.0 activity here. Unreal. Wardell, Missouri. Wardell, Missouri. And that's not the only place. Let's go over to Tiptonville, Missouri. Look at this. This is just on the east side of the New Madrid Fault. Look what we're showing you here. The data is off the chart. 2.0 earthquakes hitting all over the midnight line. Midnight line is over on the left-hand side on the black line at the top. That's midnight. Midnight to 12:14 a.m. goes all the way across here. Look at the number of 2.0 earthquakes. Every time the line goes off the chart, that is at least a 2.0 earthquake, minor earthquake. There is almost no white color here at all. Black, reds, blue, and green. Black, red, blue, and green signals here. Tiptonville, Missouri. Tiptonville, Tennessee. This is wild. Drew Black says, my spouse has had vertigo all day. Drew, where are you living? What part of the country are you living in? Diana Large is saying, wow, crazy. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look at that. It goes off the chart all day long. Tiptonville, Tennessee today, this morning. Folks, it didn't stop. Look at this afternoon. It didn't stop. And this was more than 2.0 activity. Look at the bottom red here. Those red lines are over a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. These lines are 3.0 earthquakes all the way across. Every last one of them. Drew is in northwest Missouri. She felt this. She and her husband felt this. Vertigo is a sensation that you would get from feeling this activity all day long. Absolutely. This is what's happening on the New Madrid Fault. Hurricane Heather says, and they're cut out the bottom of these quakes. They're right. They've cut them off. You can see that. You can see it. Hurricane Heather says seasickness too. Yeah. When the ground is moving like this, oh yeah, vertical big time. It's like seasickness. You'd almost have to take the, I can't remember what it's called, the medication used for going out to sea. Yeah, big time. Big time. Hello, Renee. We appreciate you being here as well. This is insane, guys. But this is what happened on the New Madrid Fault today. And this is the eastern side of the New Madrid, about 50 miles east of the New Madrid. Dramamine, yes. Dramamine was what I was thinking of. I don't think I've seen Emetrol. I don't think I've seen Emetrol. But I've seen Dramamine. I've taken Dramamine myself. Ray Spurs here, Dramamine, yes, absolutely. Does anybody have any questions about anything I've shown you today? I want to make sure I've answered any and all questions. Everything we've shown you has happened. There's no doubt in my mind what has happened on the New Madrid. I've told you even as much as 6 months ago that I did not think we'd have a 7.0, 8.0 earthquake on the New Madrid within the next 5 years. Considering what we've seen today, we might have a 7.0, 8.0 on the New Madrid within the next 6 months to a year. Folks, back in the 1811, 1812 period, there might have been 200 or 300 people spread out all throughout the Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, Kentucky area. In Arkansas, 200 or 300 people. Now there are multi-million people living here in this area. People are going to be killed. People are going to be injured. Aubrey's asking how it's going to affect the Dakotas. It's going to affect the Dakotas because the seismic energy is going to shake the entire country. I'm not saying you're going to feel large seismic activity in South or North Dakota, but I am saying you're going to feel some kind of seismic energy as a result of the energy that is being released along the New Madrid Fault. Judging by what we're seeing here, they're hiding the activity. That's very apparent. What we're seeing here is seismic energy gone bad. Okay? I think I've proven my point about the strength of this energy. Annette is saying, or asking a question, do you think we're lied to because of our 15 nuclear reactors on this fault? Yes. That's just part of the reason. That's just part of the reason. Elizabeth is saying major transportation routes on the New Madrid Fault as well. I-40 going over the Mississippi River from Little Rock to what is it called? I just showed you the map. Darn it. Going into Memphis. I-40 going from Little Rock into Memphis. What happened earlier this year on that same bridge? There was someone in a canoe that saw cracks in that bridge. They closed Interstate 40 for about 2 or 3 days to repair the cracks in the steel structure of that bridge. Unreal. Unreal. Calvin McLean says he sent me a link to a video. I will take a look at that. Thank you for that. Roger Reynolds says I was reading it was felt 50,000 square miles. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Coast to coast. North to south as well. All the way up into Canada. Canadian Patriot 1. If you're here, you're probably also going to feel it. You're probably also going to feel it over into northeastern Canada. Richard Smith, you're probably going to feel it over into Nova Scotia as well. All over. Elizabeth saying expect major disruption of supply chains. Oh yeah, big time. If New Madrid lets go because of transportation issues. Oh yeah, It's not if the New Madrid lets go. It's already letting go now. That 3.6 was a 5.0. I've shown you pretty much all of the evidence showing that. They've either destroyed the evidence, erased it, or they disguise it. They cut off the bottom and the top of the seismic signals. It's incredible. It's incredible. Does anybody have any more questions for me tonight? I've shown you what's happening over in Iceland. If anything else happens tonight in Iceland, we'll be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as we get the information. If anything else happens here on the New Madrid, rest assured, we will be back tonight and every other day until the seismic energy dampens. We will continue to report what's going on regardless of what the agency says. Now, the person that told me on the comment on my program last night, it was after my program was over, said I was showing doom and gloom, talking negative about the agency. Folks, you saw the documentation plain and simple today. Okay? Plain and simple. The earthquakes happened. The volcanism in Iceland has happened again. It's come back. We knew that was going to happen. Sheila's saying 5.0, that is impressive for the area. It is. Like I said, I did not think earlier this year that this would be happening like this now. I honestly did not believe that the New Madrid fault would let loose within 2 to 5 years. 2 to 5 years. Because before now, all we've seen is 2.5, 3.5 activity. They may have disguised activity at Mark Tree. We know they did. They cut off the bottom and the top of the earthquake signals at Mark Tree. I showed you what they showed today. I showed you what they showed today. It's not over, guys. I'm going to tell you about this. That earthquake started hitting at 11:46 a.m. this morning. Felt reports from as far away as Drummond, Tennessee. As of this afternoon, there were no reports of damage or injuries. I can't believe that is even the truth. Okay? What they believed to have happened as a 3.6 is absurd. It was a lot larger. The reports did not even come about until 12 noon. 12 noon. Nearly 20 minutes after the earthquake happened. And authorities were heading out of Jonesboro to Etowah, Arkansas. Jonesboro is the closest community to the earthquake. And they sent crews out after about 1 o'clock to survey the area for damage or human impact. Earthquakes continued in Wardell, Missouri, a city in Pemiscot County, Missouri. The population of Wardell was 310 people in 2020, just 3 years ago. But you saw the earthquake impact today on the seismogram at Wardell, Missouri. That was big time. That was big time. Drew is asking, where's Don P tonight? I don't know. I don't know where he's at. I'll find out because he's a dear friend of mine. I noticed he wasn't here earlier. He says not to depend on the government to save you. Oh no, that would never happen. Hurricane Heather says being self-reliant is absolutely life-saving. The government is not going to save you. The government is not going to knock on your door and say, hey, we're here from the government to help. And if they do, lock your door, slam it shut, lock it, and do not let them in. Do not let them in. Okay? Calvin is saying, that's interesting. All the way over there, it had to be at least a 5.0. Everyone just saying USBS. I agree. Now, I hate saying that. All night long until now, I've only called it USGS. Okay? You heard it here. Okay? You need to be ready. You need to be prepared for everything that could hit. Please be prepared. Please be prepared. Now, every night that I've been on for a very long time, I've shared with you some spiritual thoughts. Tonight is just another night with spiritual thoughts that I'm going to talk about. I have a scripture I'm going to read you, but I'm trying to see something really quick that I saw earlier today that I wanted to share with you. I've been doing my Sunday Come Follow Me programs. Those are going to continue. I want to make sure you get those these Sunday programs. I'm not going to stop. Come Follow Me has become very precious to a lot of people. I get memos, I get letters from you guys and emails. I get messages thanking me for doing those programs. Come Follow Me is not going to stop. Come Follow Me is going to be ongoing for as long as I possibly can. Come Follow Me is important. Come Follow Me gives us an idea of where we stand before God. Folks, today is Wednesday evening. Usually on Mondays, we have what I call a family home evening. I at least give you a spiritual thought on every night that we're on. Monday, I call it a family home evening for my EMA family. I appreciate you guys being here. Trisha Meyer says, thank you for being a godly man in this wicked world. Thank you for being here, Trisha. We appreciate you too. But folks, what we have here is very important. The Lord wants us to be here. I found that out. At first, I had hesitation to talk about godly things before a crowd. I found out that a lot of people wanted me to do it. The people that didn't want it fell off. As we continue and finish the New Testament, we studied the New Testament all year long. This coming Sunday at 12 noon, we're going to finish the New Testament and talk about chapters 14 through the end of Revelation, talking about the Lord's second coming. We're going to learn more about the love and mercy of God. We're going to find out many different things. We're going to find out what they talk about in Revelations 21 verse 7. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son. There's a hymn that I learned when I was a child. I wonder when he comes again. Will herald angels sing? Will earth be white with drifted snow? Or will the world know spring? I wonder if one star will shine, for brighter than the rest. Will daylight stay The whole night through will songbirds leave their nest. I'm sure he'll call his little ones together round his knee, because he said in days gone by, suffer them to come to me. I wonder when he comes again, will I be ready there to look upon his loving face and join with him in prayer. Each day I'll try to do his will and let my light so shine that others seeing me may seek for greater light divine. Then when that blessed day is here, he'll love me and he'll say, you serve me well, my little child. Come unto my arms to stay. Again, that was a song that I learned when I was a little boy. It has great meaning today because I am still trying to follow him. I'm still working on following the Savior, working to the fact that I am helping you, teaching you the things that I have learned, helping you to learn to follow God. Something else that I found, a scripture, and he cometh into the world that he may save all men, if they will hearken unto his voice. For behold, he suffereth the pains of all men, yea, the pains of every living creature, both men, women, and children, who belong to the family of Adam. We are all the people, the remnants of all of the creatures, all of the men and women since the time of Adam. Please, folks, please keep continuing to follow our Sunday school classes on Sunday at 12 noon or shortly thereafter. Please follow us. I believe what we have to say is very loving, and we have great insight into what the Savior wants for us. That's why we're here. GB Maps is in the chat. He said, Ron, I joined this family because of its Christian foundation. The rest of the info is a bonus. God bless you and yours, Ron. I also have the same message to all the great mods and fellow viewers. Yes, we do have the greatest mods in the business here on YouTube. We really do. I love each and every one of our mods. I love all of our followers of the Emergency Management Associates family. I love you all. Don Patoka is here. God bless you, Don. We're glad you're here. He says, being prepared is much more than just having a supply of stuff. Be in tune through prayer with Heavenly Father. Listen for the still small voice of guidance, for each of us are unique in circumstance. Don, you're absolutely right, and thank you for that. We appreciate you here. Thank you so much, Don. God be with you. Folks, in closing, I'm going to say the same thing. God be with you until we meet again. I love each and every one of you. You guys are why I come here each day. It's an honor to serve you, to be your servant here, to give you information on what's happening here in the Lord's kingdom, so that we might be prepared to save our lives and the lives of those that we love. God be with you until we meet again. We will see you on the other side. See you tomorrow night, same plane, same station, same time. We'll see you soon, guys. I love you very much. Good night, everybody.